We just saw Love and Mercy, and on this show I take my friends, we go see a movie, we review it here in the car, and then we have a discussion. The review part is spoiler-free, so if you're on the fence or looking for a recommendation, you can watch this video without getting spoiled. And if you've already seen the movie or just want to hear everything we thought and don't care about spoilers, watch the video Love and Mercy, movie discussion with spoilers, and we'll go into all of that stuff. So Love and Mercy is based on the life of Brian Wilson. It stars Paul Dano and John Cusack as Brian Wilson at different points in his life. Paul Dano plays him as a young man. John Cusack plays him as an older man in like the late 80s, early 90s. And it tells the story about sort of how he lost his way, or, you know, the story of how he went from being a really talented musician to being sort of under the care of Dr. Landy, and then how he met Melinda and that sort of stuff. Gets into a lot of that story that probably a lot of people know. Some of the people in the car didn't know before we saw the movie. But it's done in a way that I think really works. It portrays his mental illness in a very respectful way and in a very personal way. It's not as, you know, chapter by chapter, beat by beat, the way most movies would present this sort of material. You know, if this was a Hollywood biopic about Brian Wilson, it would be mostly in chronological order. It would be, you know, there'd be a breaking point. Landy would start out as a good guy and get worse and that sort of thing. But it really presents sort of everything at once, and that works in this movie's favor, because I think most people going in know the story. It's just sort of a way of elaborating a little bit on different parts of his life and explaining some stuff about his dad and some stuff about how he gets along with the band and how he gets along with Landy and how he gets along with everybody. So I really enjoyed it. I would say if you're a fan of Brian Wilson's music, it's worth checking out. I mean, if you're a fan of music in general, it's interesting to see sort of how some of those albums from the 60s came about and what things were like at that time, and how it can go really, really wrong if no one's really looking out for you, if everyone in your life is competing with you. So I really enjoyed it. What'd you guys think?
I happen to be the one that did not have the backstory of Brian Wilson, excuse me.
Brian Williams is no longer hosting the NBC.
Sorry. So I didn't really have any background knowledge of it, so it kind of took me a little bit to understand what was going on. You know, I knew that he was part of the Beach Boys, but I didn't understand, you know, that he was more of the producer and had a little bit more creative direction within their band and within the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was an interesting take for me to see the build up, but I liked how the movie was set up, that it didn't go in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely liked that you could see diverse characters, and for the main character, was it Paul? Who's it?
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano. I really liked his character in that. He didn't play the typical lost person or lost boy like some of his past roles have been.
Yeah, no, I mean, he really, I think a bit more than Cusack, actually. He really looked and felt like Brian Wilson. Like, he did an authentic version of Brian Wilson.
So, having not known any background, it was easy for me to fall into his character. So, it was an enjoyable movie.
Cool.
I thought it was actually really good. I knew a little bit about the story. I didn't know, all of it about Dr. Landy and everything. But that didn't keep me from enjoying the movie like I needed to know it. This movie spelled it out pretty well, so if you don't know, it's fine. The music was great, of course. I thought they did some really interesting things with the sound of the movie. The way they mixed it to give you an idea kind of what he's hearing or what he's feeling at the time. And it was just, it really drew you in, and it allowed you to get a little lost like he was. And I thought that made it from a good movie to a great movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I thought the performances were really great. And it was not really a biopic, which I kind of expected, but it's not at all. It's very subjective, much like Brian Williams. Like you got it.
Sorry.
Brian Wilson's creativity and
Do not believe Brian Williams if he
don't
told
believe
you
what
he
I
was in
just
the
said.
Beach Boys.
Williams Wilson.
But like the turmoil of creativity and how just it borders sometimes with some people on mental illness. And this really delves into that. You really get inside his head, especially using sound to just show you kind of he's kind of a tormented guy as much as a bit of a creative genius. So it reminded me just a little bit of the movie Shine, in that piano one, like in that it has a similar arc where he's got a promising beginning and then this really tormented middle with a kind of real authoritarian kind of father, and then he comes up the other side, like to enjoy life later on in life. I kind of had that arc to it a little bit, but either way, so I don't think this movie's for everyone because it's got a few deliberate, kind of slow, almost trippy moments. But just as a subjective, almost art piece that kind of revolves around Brian Wilson's creativity, his torment, his selfishness, his struggles with his illness and being controlled by people around him, it's really, really worth a watch. It's very engrossing.
I think if you have any interest in seeing it, like if you saw the trailers or anything like that and you thought it looked interesting, you won't be disappointed by it.
Yeah, you should totally see it.
I'm not sure who would walk into this movie and who would give this a chance and not like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there's people that wouldn't like it. So I just
even if it's just for the style of it.
Yeah, or if they think it's John Cusack, it'll be funny or something like that. But
Or if they think it's about Brian Williams.
Not yet. To be continued.
All right. Well, that's our review. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at DaleMaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.